serve on a voluntary basis without compensation. Our procedure for conducting business is that the petitioner for each item will be asked to come forward to the microphone and state your name and present his or her request. Please adjust the microphone so that it will pick up your voice since the meeting is being recorded. After you've presented, the board will ask any questions they may have. Then anyone wishing to speak to the proposal will be asked to come forward and voice their opinions. If there are opposing sides to a project, each side will have 10 minutes to speak. That's the side, not each person who wants to speak will have 10 minutes. All comments should be about the project being presented. This is not a venue to air personal grievances. If you hear the gavel, you are out of order, and if you persist, you will be removed from the meeting. Once your request is heard and the board's decision is rendered, you may leave the meeting. However, if you have questions for staff, please wait until after the meeting is over to ask them, or you may contact staff at the office the following day. Once public testimony and discussion of a particular item is concluded, the members of the board will deliberate and render a decision. Members with a personal or financial interest in any request are required to recuse themselves from voting. All decisions by the Architecture Review Board are final. Any person having a request for a certificate of appropriateness denied by the board may appeal such denial to the Montgomery County Circuit Court. Any such appeal shall be filed with the Circuit Court within 30 days of the receipt of the notice of the final decision of the board. We have 6 members present, and it takes 5 votes to pass a motion. If you feel like your motion will not pass because of the number of members present and you'd like to delay your request, please let us know at the time your request is announced. I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce members of the Architecture Review Board. We have Elizabeth Brown, Jake Johnson, John Hayden, Hillary Morgan, Kalia Williams. Oh, I'm sorry, Katie Bell. No. And Katie Williams is, what did I say, Katie Bell? All right. Katie Williams and Sam Yaps. Sam, thank you. Land use staff, Paula Wade, Andrea Spriggs, Tanya Ingram, and Russell Stringer. Normally, we have our program with our pictures on the screen so that you can see all of the photographs and drawings that are submitted about a project. But Mike, who used to provide this service for us and for other boards of the city, has left city employment, and no one else knows how to do it. So I hate this because it really, it makes the meeting less accessible for you, the members of the public, in seeing what's actually going on. But if you have any questions about a drawing or a photograph or which house it is, please raise your hand and we'll try to address your concerns about the project. All right, the first project for the night is a request for approval after the fact of a new door and replacement of columns for the property located at 420 South Highland Court, Garden District. And this is Calix Vilme. All right, Calix, come forward.
Now go to the podium.
Good afternoon. The reason I have a property that's on 420 South Highland Court.
Yes.
The door, they had an old door that was there before. Like some kids, when they broke, it was a wood door, you know, them old wood door with a glass in front. It was like a big size glass. But some kids, the neighbors tell me some kids were playing in the neighborhood. They bust the glass. And then I went to Home Depot and bought me a brand new door. But the other door, it had a little smaller glass, but it's on top of it. on top of the other, because the other glass, the door was so big, you can just break it and put your hand open it. So I went to Home Depot, get me another door, but the door I got is, how do they say the material? It's kind of fiber. Yeah, it's kind of like a fiber plastic door.
Fiberglass.
Yeah, fiberglass, yeah.
Okay.
So, and I put it, I have put it in there, so, I thought it was, okay, you look nicer now, so, than the one that was there before. And also I had some column, them column that was in there, it was about like 3 of them, and they were right, and I ended up, I didn't find one that matched that one since they were wood, so I went to Home Depot get, it was some kind of column. The person that did it for me, it was some kind of column, but it's kind of similar to the one that was there before that. So I ended up, that's what I did, I changed it, so I'm trying to see, if I can just leave what I have on there. All right. Because it's nicer now with the one that was there before, it was all, kind of ugly.
Are there any comments on this project from the board?
Sir, was there a transom above the window, the door? Was there a transom above the door? Did I hear you correctly? Or is this the same condition did you purchase this house? You bought this house?
Yeah. I had the house since 2009. Yeah. So it was the same door that was there, but because some kids they went to the bus, the door was it wasn't closing right, so it was kind of old anyway. So the kids, the trim, he had the trim that was above the glass. It was kind of a rectangle. So a little, the glass go all the way up. It was a big glass. I think the measurement of it, I can't remember how big. I think it probably was that size of this thing right there. About this size. But the other door I got there, it does have the trim on top of the other door.
So when you purchased the house, was the glass and the transom, was it broken?
No. When I purchased the house, the stuff, the door, the old door was still there. But when basically the house had stayed vacant, and some kids that was in the neighborhood, they ended up broke the glass and broke the whole door. So and the door wasn't closing. The house kind of shifted. The door wasn't closing right anyway. So that's why I ended up get another door from Home Depot and put there. Yeah.
Well, I'm not really talking about the door. I'm talking about the transom above the door. There's a transom.
You're talking the trim's still there. Yeah, there's nothing changed. It's just the.
Is that the same way it was when you bought the house?
Yeah, when I bought the house, the trim was already there. Yeah,
okay.
The trim was there. So the door, yeah, that's what we changed. Yes.
So there was glass in the door. The glass got broken.
Yeah, the glass. The glass got broken.
You replaced the door after the glass in the.
Yeah. When the door, it was a big pixel glass broken, so I ended up just replacing the whole door. Yeah, but the door that's there now, it had a glass on it, but it's a little smaller glass on top of that door now.
I don't know when the glass was changed, John, but the Garden District photographs show a transom in that location. Yeah.
Well, that was my question. I mean, transoms sometimes they're covered. You didn't cover the transom, did you, Mr. Calix? Did you cover it, or was it that way when you bought the house? The transom above the door, was the glass there? Was it clear, or did you cover it? The transom.
Yeah, okay. On above the house, they had the glass. They had the glass that was there. You broke, but I think I just put the sheet back on top of the trim, because the glass has broke. It was a broke glass there, so I covered that, but I didn't have to replace the whole wood and stuff like that. And because they had broke that glass that was above the door. Yeah.
Is there anyone from the audience who wants to talk to this project? Ms. Callaway?
Good evening.
Good evening.
I am Laura Callaway with Garden District Preservation Association. The two issues with the house were the replacement of the door. I'm not sure about when the transom was actually covered, and the columns. Two of the front columns were replaced with square columns, and we were certainly hoping that those could be enclosed. The square posts that are there now could be enclosed with something that would simulate the round columns that were there before. We are trying hard on the north end of the district to keep what we've got and improve what we've got up there. So,
Okay.
so that is our
Thank you.
comment.
Okay, that's it.
The problem I see with this door is that it's from styled for a colonial revival house from the mid-20th century. And you have something that was built, round about 1900, so it's 50 years earlier, and would have had a big piece of glass in the door. I have a big piece of glass in my door too, and I have those same kind of concerns sometimes. But that little window that's up there, it's really wrong for the style of house you have, and that's the kind of thing that we're supposed to review. Also, the transom, the piece of glass that was above the door, the window that's above the door, needs to still be clear. You
Clear,
could put
open.
a piece of plexiglass up there, which would look, from the street like it was glass, rather than have it filled with sheetrock or plywood, whatever that is. The columns, the 4x4 columns on the end, I know columns are expensive, but they need to be columns. They don't need to be 6x6s on those brick piers that are on the corner. This is a really fine house, and you've kept it up very well. I hate to see these changes that would degrade the character of the house. Any other comments? May I have a motion?
Yeah, but but the door, the door I have there now, I feel like they call like that column thing. I probably can talk to her and see how can I get that fixed. But the door, I really feel like the door kind of similar. Only thing is different is the glass. I feel like the glass is smaller, than the one that was there, that was there before.
If people would just pick plain doors rather than cute doors sometimes, we would come out better on the door being wrong than we often do. And this particular door must be fresh and new at Lowe's or Home Depot or something, because we've had several applications of this inappropriate door here lately.
Well, it's also fiberglass, it's not wood.
Say that again?
It's fiberglass.
Yeah, it's fiberglass, because if you go to Home Depot, they're not gonna have, a lot of time they don't have the, them, especially outside door, they.
I understand, but I mean,
Yeah.
for this style of, I'm not sure that we've approved fiberglass for our main door. I may be wrong, I've been on the board a number of years,
Yeah.
I don't recall that, but in any event.
Do you still have your old door?
No, I don't have the old door no more. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ms. Brown,
Yes?
can we show him the picture on 9C of the Craftsman door on the back of 1103 to give him an idea of what may be a better option?
Which one?
9C?
Well, just one pane of glass up there would be fine. A carpenter may be able to adjust the door that you have to make that pane of glass rectangular rather than arched.
Okay, then the arch, you say
Arch bad, rectangle good in this case. But it really ought to be, a half,
You say like something kind of rectangular?
yes.
No. See if I can find one.
May I have a motion on this project?
Madam Chair, I move that the request to retain the door and columns be denied because neither are in keeping with the style of this particular house. Also note that the transom needs to be either glass, plexiglass, something clear needs to be put in the transom, so, because apparently it was done fairly recently. So that's the motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed?
How are you two gentlemen voting? Abstained? Yeah.
Okay,
You're voting for it?
all right. I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Bethany and Will Knowlton, Cloverdale Idlewild, 3360 Montezuma Road.
Good evening. Which project would you like to start with?
You just start. It doesn't matter.
Okay, I'll start with our proposed driveway addition. We're
Okay.
planning to add a space for one car to park adjacent to our current driveway. This space will be leveled and filled with a crushed limestone base with tan pea gravel on top to match the driveway color. So right now our driveway is concrete with exposed tan gravel, which would match pretty well with the tan pea gravel for the addition. The bricks lining the driveway and sidewalk will be moved to outline the gravel parking pad addition. The bricks and the design will be carefully designed to all match one another. So the total area of our front yard is approximately 2,700 square feet, and the driveway addition will be an area of approximately 174 square feet. So this only adds about 6.5% of the existing yard and will be converted to a parking space. One tree less than 12 inches in diameter will be removed. And that is all for that project.
We're going to handle these separately or together? I guess separately since they're two. Does anyone want to speak to the driveway widening?
Charlie Colvin with the Cloverdale Idlewild Association, the CIA. Will and Bethany came to our meeting, the last meeting we had, presented their proposals to the neighborhood association. No objections were raised at the association for either of the items that they're presenting tonight.
All right, let's talk about the carport to garage.
All right, our next project we are proposing is plans to enclose our carport and make it into a garage. The front exterior surrounding the garage door will be stucco and it will be painted cream to match the rest of the front of the house. The side and the back exteriors will be board and batten design with hardy board as the material, and this will match the existing exterior on the side and the back of the house. The paint colors will be the same as the current colors on the house, cream for the boards and brown for the trim pieces. And the original brown columns on the current carport that we have will still be visible after closing in the sides. The front garage door will be 10 feet wide and 8 feet tall. It's in what's called the carriage house design, made of steel with an embossed wood grain texture. And we chose the design, the pictures are in our application, but it has angled center pieces that reflect the angle of our roof line on the front of the house, and arched windows at the top that mimic an arched frame above our front windows on the house as well. So all the design elements really tie into the elements of our historic house. The front door will be painted cream, and the back side of the garage door will have a French door, or the back side of the garage will have the French door painted brown to match the trim. There's a small wall or gate behind the carport that will be removed. No trees will be removed. And those are our plans.
I appreciate the time that you took to do these drawings because they are now understandable. I have a clear idea of what we're talking about and what we're voting on now, so thank you. I know that was extra trouble to go to. Does anyone in the audience have anything to say to this project? You have any, Charles, y'all don't have anything else to say? Okay. Any other person want to speak to this project? Board comments?
Ultimately, when you're looking at the front of your house and the movement of the driveway and the parking pad in front, you are taking away from the visual aspect of the house itself, okay? So based on kind of the location of this house and then also where it's located, you're impeding on the front. So my concern is the addition of that parking pad, which will ultimately take over the visual aspect of that front window. So what you're going to see is you're going to see more of a car than you are necessarily going to be seeing the house, okay? So that's part of the concern, is moving it in that direction. I think that seeing this in two perspectives, I will also say that the carport itself is more appropriate to the house and the style of the house and when it was built, based on the current kind of configuration that I see with the garage, okay? So those are kind of my two concerns. I do appreciate, though, the work that you've put into the design and the aspect of the thought that was with this. Are y'all planning on using the garage as a garage, or is the plan to enclose the garage and use the parking space more? Just curious.
We plan to enclose the carport and use it as a garage and have a car parked in there, as well as on the driveway addition, either or and both, whatever we need.
I think you mentioned last time, and I understand, have empathy about street parking. My house, one of the first things I do when I have to get up every morning, my wife and I have a single car driveway just like you. My first job, get out and move my car because she gets to work before me. And like Hillary said, it moves the car in front of the house, which is problematic for me. As for the garage, I like it. I think if it comes out the way you put it on the plan, I think it would work well with the house. Understand it's not so much traditional for the house, but I do think it is in certainly keeping with the style of the house. So those are my thoughts.
I have a question. In the notes, I see something about trying to widen it to the right instead of the left. Did y'all look in that vein a little bit?
We did, so that won't be possible because the property line is too close to where our current driveway is. So if we expanded that way, we'd be parking into our neighbor's property.
How far away? Because you could kind of like go down the middle. You could sort of one side and the other. I mean, you're trying to put one whole car on one side. I think they were trying to modify a little bit like that. I have to say, I do appreciate all your work on this. It looks much better, more cohesive design. My concern is that these houses, which we're to look at these neighborhoods as a whole and what their properties are and the style of design they are. The porte-cochees, the carports, were a big design in all these buildings in the 40s. If you look, house after house after house has the porte-cochere. To remove it and put a garage there now, which is roughly about a third of the front of your property, it sets a precedent for others to then also do it with impunity. And I just have a big problem with that. That's my take on it. It does look nice, but it is not in keeping with that style house.
You have a small car, which wouldn't really impede the view of your house as much, but the next person who lives in your house is going to have a Tahoe. I know it. I remember one particular driveway that we talked about, that they just wanted this semicircular driveway in their tiny front yard so that guests could come by. And every time I drive by, their giant Tahoe is in the tiny semicircular driveway, blocking half the view of their house. It's just not a good idea in these neighborhoods. If you could get enough space in your right-hand side to pave over there and still, have enough room to maneuver by, I wouldn't have any objection to widening the driveway on the right-hand side. But I do object to the parking the car on the front yard. It's something that degrades almost every street in our neighborhood, and it doesn't have to, because we can all be inconvenienced a little bit. I also, I have a single driveway too, and we're always shuffling cars around, and it makes everybody grumpy, but we just do it anyway. And the carport to garage looks much better. The carport is still in better keeping with the design of your house and more appropriate. Anyone else have comments?
Do you know how wide your current driveway is?
I think 8 feet.
8 feet.
It looks wider than that.
Yeah, it does. Do you know how far your property line is on the right side of your driveway from the edge of the driveway?
Maybe 5 feet. There's really, if we parked to the right of our driveway, we would be over the property line. Maybe that's something we can talk to our neighbor and see if they wouldn't mind. It really wouldn't work.
Sure. So where I'm going with this, the driveway looks larger than 8 feet. It may just be an optical illusion, the angle the picture is taken, but would it be possible to maybe extend your driveway 5 feet on the right side and then make up the difference on the left side? And that way you could park a car to the right, still have a driveway coming in, and you'd minimize the impact to the house. So I think you're proposing an 8-foot addition for the parking pad, is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
So do 5 feet on one side and 3 feet on the other. That way you can still maneuver around the car, have two lanes essentially that you could fit in, and avoid the visual impact to the house.
That could work. That could possibly work.
Mm-hmm.
And if your parking spot's 9 feet standard width, so if your driveway is bigger than 8 feet and you can get 18 feet total, then you'd have plenty of room to maneuver around it, I think.
Just don't decide you need a Tahoe.
Think of the straight up one.
Madam Chair, no reason to repeat. I'm kind of in agreement with Hillary and you on this one, so
Okay.
No reason for me to repeat all of that.
I think Jake has come up with a good idea about because I don't think anybody has any objection, well, they may have, but I don't have any objection to a wider overall driveway if it really doesn't, the problem is impeding on the view of the house. And we can't always be, we're designing forever here, not for just you, so it does sometimes turn out to be important.
Just remember, on the existing driveway, they have concrete with a brick border or something.
Yeah.
And they'll need to kind of keep in character with that if they do something similar to what Jake mentioned, in my opinion.
Right. Is there any more comments? Can I ask for a motion then?
Are you going to do 2 separate motions?
I think we should, because we have really differing opinions on both of them. The first motion would be on the driveway addition.
Madam Chair, I move to deny permission to add the driveway because it would impede on the view of the house, in my opinion. Certainly, if they came back with another design to, like you said, almost like a funnel, have 2 to 3 to 4 feet on the right side and some on the left side, but as it currently is presented, it appears that the entire car would be blocking in front of the house, so it would be my motion to deny the request for the extension on the
Second.
driveway.
All right, you wandered. You don't usually wander, but you did wander.
I did. I'm sorry. It's been one of those.
All right, let's try one more time on the motion, and so that we can be really clear.
Okay. I move that request to add the parking pad or additional driveway to the left side be denied because it would block the view of the home, and the car would be entirely in front of the house, and would impede certainly the street and curb view of the home with the vehicle.
All right.
Is there
Can we also say, but the board has no objections to should we say anything like that?
how do we do that?
They can resubmit.
Yeah.
Okay.
That way we'll have details, make sure it's not going to impact the tree on the right side of the garage, the carport. And
Okay.
Kind of what I meant to do, but I shouldn't have. But anyway, that's the motion. Certainly they can resubmit if they have additional plans.
All right. And second?
Yeah. Second.
All right. All in favor? Opposed? All right. Sorry. Now, on the carport into garage, a motion, please.
I move to deny the petition as submitted based on the architectural appropriateness of the home.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed?
4-3, motion does not carry.
Okay.
Can they bring it back when they have more members?
They can.
They certainly can.
Okay.
You can make a motion to delay that until next month.
I move to delay the petition as submitted for the carport. Garage. Sorry.
Until next month.
Until next month.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed?
Real quick.
I'll change mine to
It's 5 to
resubmit.
2. You're still okay. It's
Okay.
5 to 2.
Oh, wait, there's 7? Wait, there's 6 of us.
Wait a minute.
There's
There's
7.
7.
There's 7.
Never mind.
Yeah, there's 7.
Who snuck in?
It was said.
I did.
Okay. Oh, it was 6, wasn't it?
Okay, the garage did not carry, correct?
No, 5 to
Garage
2.
did not
It
carry.
did not. The motion to delay carried.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want the property owners to understand if you may be a bit confused about what just happened.
So last time we were here, the same thing happened with the driveway, and there's still not enough people here. So what guarantees that the next time we come, there's going to be more people here?
No guarantee.
I think you can see that what you've proposed to do, while it seems perfectly reasonable in functional aspects, the board has a lot of problem with the design and the character of these proposals. So I think you need to think really strongly about what's going to be possible no matter how many people show up. Now you've gotten some response on the driveway situation, which is positive about other things you could do. I don't know whether you're ever going to dig yourself out of the hole on the carport to garage, because it seems it's such a 1950s residential area sort of thing to do. You know, the garage sort of started creeping towards the house in the 1930s, and it took about 30 years to get there. It's just not appropriate for the kind of house that you have and in the neighborhood that you have. It's not it's well designed, but just not quite right. And I don't think that delaying it is going to change that motion, but I think that you can do something with the parking situation that will make your house easier to live in. As a person who backs, as I said, her car out of the driveway every day so somebody else can get out, I understand the aggravation of this.
So just, I understand all your concerns, but just so we understand what just happened, our plans were denied, but we have the opportunity to present again next month?
Yes.
Okay, we'll stay on the schedule for next
All
month.
right.
Okay.
All right.
Hey, Paula, they're gonna stay on the schedule for next month.
I'm sorry?
They are gonna stay on the schedule for next month.
Thank you.
Julie Gordon, Old Cloverdale, 1828 Graham Street.
Good evening. I was here last month, and y'all saw pictures of the crumbling chimney. And do y'all have the new picture?
They do.
Okay. So they did remove the chimney, and they had a really hard time. Over 100 years of shifting of the ground, the walls did not match up. But the construction crew was able to facade back and made it work, and now you see what it does. And actually, to me, it accentuates the corbels and the bay window. And it looks nice on that side to me. It also matches the other side of the house. They're not completely through, but the boards are up, it's painted, and I like what they did. And I'd like to just keep it that way and not add another chimney. I'm not sure the structure of the house could hold that weight.
Anyone from the audience to speak to this project?
Robert Hesse, Old Cloverdale Association. We discussed it at our last meeting again, and I've personally looked at the work. It's fabulous, looks great, and we are not opposed to the lack of the chimney.
All right. Anyone else?
Just real quick, Ms. Gordon, did they add this window? Is that where your chimney was?
No, everything was there. They just, the chimney was in between the windows.
Okay, well, yeah.
Everything is original.
I'm looking at a photograph where you brought last time where we can see the separation apparently.
Right.
The angle is such, I couldn't see the window on the
Oh,
other side.
no, everything is original.
Yeah, whoever did it did
did a good job.
very good job.
I agree with you. The house looks more symmetrical without the chimney.
It wasn't what you'd call it was a character defining feature. It was a chimney, but it was no great shakes as a chimney,
No.
even when it was new.
No.
Well, this isn't something that probably wanted to do. This was something that had to be done.
It had to be done, yes, sir.
Now, this was a very big danger to anyone walking by that chimney, I'm afraid.
And my next door neighbor, Rick Hansen,
Yes,
too.
yes.
Yeah. Sometimes things just have to be done.
May I have a motion on this project?
I move to approve as submitted.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Austin Campbell, Garden District, 1458 South Perry Street. More chimneys.
March 13th to the 17th, our company removed 4 chimneys from 1458 South Perry Street. We came on an advisory from last,
Don't worry about it.
came on an advisory from last month to potentially not have to rebuild the front 2 on the front of the house, and we're hoping to keep that route.
Any comments from the audience?
Laura Calloway with the Garden District Preservation Association. We are not concerned at all about the rebuilding of the 2 chimneys on the back of the house. I would like to hear what the board has to say about the chimneys that were on the front of the house and were visible. And we are less concerned about these because they were completely internal, so it does not destroy a visual element on the side of the house like an outside chimney would have been.
My thinking, again, just like the previous, that this was not something that was done just because someone didn't like chimneys and wanted to get rid of it. This was something that was necessary because these were danger. I mean, certainly would have been, it would be nice to do something, see if you could, I don't know, some kind of faux chimney, but again, because it was done by necessity, I think it might be a bit burdensome to have the owner replace chimneys when they're not even used, I would think. They're not using fireplaces inside the house. I assume it has central heat, air, or central heat now. I mean, again, because it was of necessity, because of the deterioration of the chimneys, I'm inclined to not require to replace them. So that's my opinion.
I've got a question. This picture right here, is this one of the chimneys in question?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
That's in the rear of the home.
That one's gone and staying gone?
Yes, that's in the rear of the home, correct.
Okay, that was awful.
Yeah, you can't, from the way the pitches on the roof are from the road, you cannot see the planes of them because that's also on the rear.
Those were the, you don't have any pictures of the two front ones? Their condition? Because the conditions on these were creating some serious water issues, I would imagine.
Yeah. I do have, there were some pictures of the front ones on there, but I also have pictures that once they were removed.
Madam Chair, I don't have any objection to the two on the back. Those couldn't be seen from the street, but the two on the front, I feel like most of the houses along the street does have a look of the chimneys, so I'm kind of inclined to come back with something.
Were these chimneys double width or just single width like it shows, the ones in the front?
The ones in the front had a single width. The ones in the back had a double width.
Okay, because
I believe so.
if I'm not mistaken, the single width brick like this, it's not really to code, is it?
So,
It was in 1900.
yeah, every single one of the chimneys was unlined. Even the front left chimney, when we were tearing it down, we had found that it caught the roof on fire at one point.
It caught the roof on fire?
Yeah.
Can you say that a little louder into the camera?
It caught the roof on fire at some point when it was being used.
The front one?
Yeah.
There are two things considerations that I see. One, originally these chimneys were extremely high in order to get the chimneys up above the ridge line of the roof so that they might possibly draw. And this house, the way this house is sited on Perry Street, you really don't have any opportunity to see the chimneys until you get right in front of the house. You can't really see them on the approaches because of the landscaping and the other houses. And of course, we're not going, down Perry Street, we're coming up Perry Street now, so you can't see that one at all. I don't see any great any great reason, doing a cost-benefit analysis in my head, the visual effect that we get versus the amount of money it's going to cost to do something that looks like that just doesn't make sense in my head. It's not like replacing the wrong door, which may be expensive, but it's not thousands of dollars. So I don't see any huge reason to replace those two chimneys. it's not a great character defining feature of the house. It's not some English Tudor house that has, you know, a carefully built chimney and chimney pots and things, and we have some of those even on that street and on South Hull Street. So I don't see any huge reason, you know, from my point of view, to replace those. It just doesn't make good sense.
I'm gonna second what you just said, Madam Chair. I also, to me, in rebuilding them, I have a concern about the structure of the roof and having to rebuild it and everything else. And I think the benefit of doing that versus the benefit of maintaining the home as it is kind of outweighs itself on being able to not put them back. Because I think it's gonna, ultimately, I think the impact from the view, as you said it, you're not really seeing it unless you're in the front. I think that between the height of the chimneys they are and the way that they're currently sitting in the depth and the length of them, it just makes, I'm leaning towards not.
Well, we've had people put back, and I'm in doing my work, I had people put back chimneys that were faux chimneys made out of plywood, you know, with, you know, brick siding, just, you know, the thin brick siding just attached to them. But we're already, what, 40 feet in the air before we even start the chimney?
You're somewhere up at that distance, but I don't see it that there being much cost differentiation between you may end up being more expensive to rebuild a faux chimney.
I can't hear you.
I'm sorry. I don't think you're going to save money doing like a faux chimney. I think you'll end up being more expensive than what a single brick layer thick chimney costs to build, just from the simple fact of the matter of what building materials cost compared to brick.
Okay. Is there any more discussion on this project? May I have a motion?
I move to approve as submitted with, and allow them to not rebuild the chimneys.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Caitlin Sparks, Old Cloverdale, 1809 Ridge Avenue. Yeah.
Hi, I am requesting permission.
Just that, I can't hear anybody tonight, so.
Can you hear me now?
That's better.
Okay. I'm requesting to replace the siding on the entirety of the house. I think it may have been a verbiage problem when we did it. So it's not just a few pieces. There's significant amounts of wood rot on all aspects of the house. So to just go and make it one clean change to make all material match instead of having wood, and then I think it's like plywood on some aspects of it. And we tried to match it with the hardi-plank, the color that's most similar to the color already on the house.
And you have what I would call drop siding or novelty siding on your house?
Correct.
And hardi-plank doesn't come in that?
Okay, so is it just the drop siding that was in question? Like when in the response to it was keeping the drop siding versus, okay.
You can still get the drop siding.
Okay. So it's more just the hardi-plank that's the issue.
It's just the issues all over.
Yeah, like you can see, I could go and get more pictures and repetition, but like that hole by one of the windows is, you can see that on every side except like the front of the house. It's bad enough that we're having to figure out how to fix it to be able to close on it right now.
Well, in my opinion, the siding needs to match the original, and the hardy board is not going to match the original. So it would not be something that I think would be appropriate character.
Okay, do you have a recommendation as far as what material to go back with? Because I don't want to go in where half of the house, where it's been like kind of piecemealed together in areas you can't see, where it's already got like the plywood vinyl type material, and then other aspects are wood, and then it's a bunch of different materials, and then you're not being able to match the paint correctly, so then it's 4 different paint colors and kind of looks like a hodgepodge.
It's all drop siding. Yes. Everywhere. Hard to see on the side, but in places where you can. Is there anyone from the audience to speak to this project?
Robert Hesse, Old Cloverdale Association. We discussed this and we weren't aware of any hardy board or planks that matched the original siding on the front of the house. So we would prefer that it be replaced with the same type of siding so it matches. And as far as the rest of the house or back of the house where other materials would be used, then I would think what's in the front would be appropriate for the rest of the house.
So question, are you saying just leave the front of the house wood and then sides and back, you would be okay with the hardy board?
No.
No, okay, so can you clarify that for me?
The rest of the house matched the front.
Oh, okay, so you're saying like the entire house?
Yeah, you were asking about the different materials being used at the.
Yeah, oh yeah, no,
around
yeah,
the
I just
house.
wanted clarification, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'd prefer that it just all match the front of the house.
I think that the board has allowed hardy board to be used on garages and additions, and perhaps some on the rear of houses, but we've never approved wholesale replacement of original siding with wood siding with hardy board anywhere. I don't think that's a precedent that I would want to set. I think it needs to remain like it is. So if you're going to need to replace the wood, then it needs to be replaced with wood like that, which is available. Are there any other comments from the board? May I have a motion? This side of the group of the panel is not holding up their end of the work.
Oh my goodness!
On composing motions.
Oh, we felt that punch.
This is a gentle chiding. Still, it produces no results.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to deny the request as submitted
You have to state a reason.
because it's not keeping in character with the style siding that Madam Chair has mentioned previously during the discussion.
But she can replace rotten siding with new
wood.
siding that matches the original.
Yes.
She doesn't need approval to do that.
What?
She would not need approval to do
So-
that.
so there we go.
Just replacing
All right.
wood with wood. So we have a
Second?
motion?
Second.
All right, all in favor? Opposed? All right.
Thank you.
Erica Tracy, Old Cloverdale, 2011 LeBron.
Every now and then.
Okay, this is that little flat part of LeBron before we go across.
That's
Fairview
right.
Avenue.
This
Okay.
is the pedestrian side. We're requesting a driveway to be put on the south side of the property that goes into the backyard, where we will put a parking pad, all same gravel throughout, and then it would be bordered with brick in the back on the parking pad.
It's Bill and Gina Dickinson's office, if you need them. Well, it's a shared driveway, we all know what that's about. Are you gonna be able to move that pretty azalea, or are you missing it?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Are you gonna be able to move that pretty azalea, or are you missing it?
The azalea.
Uh-huh.
I think that would stay.
Okay.
I would imagine, some of the, I'm sorry, you probably
I
can't.
can hear you.
Okay. I'm loud and southern. I think that majority of those plants can stay. I think the roses probably will come out, and then some of the ground cover. But the azalea, I think, is far enough into that fence line,
Okay.
and the camellias for sure, will stay.
Yes, there it is.
Well, in the comments, it states grading between the trees in the front will kill the trees. Mr. Stringer, what trees, have you looked this over? What are we talking about?
Yes, because it's a tight fit between them. They'd have to bridge over them. You can do that with a geotextile fabric. You just can't drop the blade of a bobcat and push through there to dig a footing for it.
Okay. What kind of trees were they, Mr. Stringer?
There is a nut-all oak on the left that I know it's nut-all because I planted it, and there's a very nice magnolia tree to the right.
I mean, you heard Mr. Stringer talk about taking all necessary steps to make sure that the trees are maintained and not damaged. Any problem doing? I don't have a problem with that concerned me, but would it be okay?
We have spoken to our landscaper who is going to do the entire project. They're doing the plantings, they're doing the driveway and everything. He has mentioned about going between those trees. His belief is the topsoil has to be removed to an extent and then clay would be put down. We can put a membrane through there. We also talked about reducing the width of the driveway in that part. We measured the existing drive that we have, and at the narrowest part, it's 8 feet, and we could potentially do that, which would give several feet on either side of those trees to further help that situation. But yes, he feels very confident that we won't do damage to those trees.
Do you hear anything that causes concern, Mr. Stringer?
Tree roots live in the top foot and a half of soil. If you're not digging, you're not hurting tree roots.
No.
If you're digging within that first foot and a half, you are hurting tree roots. So
yeah,
you can tunnel under them and not hurt them. You can go deeper than that, but that critical depth is foot to foot and a half.
And again, don't know who you have doing this. They sound like they're professionals, probably done this. Also sounds like you're willing to make adjustments
yes,
to the driveway to ensure that, what we don't want is in, 2 years, 3 years, nice, complete, everything is good, and then you have trees that are having problems, and then...
Yeah, we agree. Mm-hmm.
I mean, you didn't ask permission to take them down, so I assume you like them and would like to keep them.
That's right.
Good.
You two are going to need to avoid Tahoes and their ilk.
I want no Tahoes.
All right.
What is it, you and Tahoes? Okay, I understand.
All right, I'll change to Land Rover then, if that'll make you feel better. I don't want to defame Chevrolet. Neighborhood Association?
Robert Hesse, Old Cloverdale Association. They put on a very nice presentation at one of our meetings a while back, enlisting us early, and they've also enlisted a landscape architect to help them with the design, and they've done everything that we wish every neighbor would do, and there is no opposition to their proposal. We approve it.
Madam Chair, are y'all going to address the gate since there are multiple options?
I thought all the options were fine with me.
Okay.
Other people may have different opinions.
They're all metal, right? So they're all metal gates, so I'd just say pick one. Whatever you...
Now, you don't have anything outrageous there.
No.
I don't see any gargoyles, so I'm good
No,
with all of it.
no gargoyles.
No gargoyles. Okay.
Is there height differences?
No, we have an existing 6-foot gate and fence right there, and our only plan is to just move it forward. We're still well behind the front of the house, and just move it forward and keep the 6 foot across at the height of it, and just go
Okay.
across the full length of the drive.
As long as you stay behind the porch.
It is behind the porch. Yeah, it's actually another window back on the house
Okay.
where we.
Behind the porch and make sure the fence never goes over 6 feet. So,
Yeah.
Other than that.
Okay.
All right.
One question I do have, is the entire driveway gravel? Are you proposing to do the entire driveway out of gravel? The plan indicates there might be a different material in there, but the presentation said gravel driveway. Just want clarity on that.
So I think the original plan from the landscape architect who designed it had a grass strip through the middle. We've gone back and forth with our landscaping person who's doing this, and you know, basically he's telling us that that's kind of an upkeep nightmare to keep that looking well. So we have kind of conceded to just making the entire drive that gravel.
Okay.
But the sides of the driveway will still be all either sod or plants, so it won't be just driveway.
Right. Okay. And do you have an edge band of brick or a metal edge band, some way to contain the gravel?
Yes.
Okay.
I haven't decided exactly what that will be, but we have cobblestone.
Okay.
Okay.
That would be good.
That'll save you from getting gravel in your yard.
Right.
Okay.
All right. A motion?
I move to approve as submitted.
Second.
All in favor? All right.
Cedric?
Up.
You're opposed?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Cagle and Muster Construction, 444 Goldthwaite Street, garage apartment.
Madam Chair, I would like to indicate to the board that I did have a conversation with the property owner yesterday about this particular petition. It was in the format of the meeting only, so I just wanted to disclose that. I don't have any personal interest in the project, though.
Okay. Thank you. Goldthwaite. So it would be Cottage Hill Annex. All right.
All right, hey, I'm Lee Lester, my husband Sammy, and we're Cagle and Lester Construction. We're requesting permission to construct a 24 by 24.
Excuse me, can you move
two-
there you go.
How's that?
That's it.
That's good. I'm gonna have to hold it because it keeps moving. A 24 by 24 two-story garage. It'll be 599 square foot apartment on the second floor. It will have concrete siding, architectural shingle roof with a 5V crimp, metal roof above the 2 garage doors, wood windows and exposed rafter tails, and all the paint, windows, roof, siding will match the existing house.
This was a house that we constructed over a year ago.
Right.
Sir?
This was a home that we constructed over a year ago, so it's a new home.
Oh.
Is there anyone from the audience to speak to this project?
I have a comment from Cottage Hill Neighborhood Foundation. They discussed the project, and they have no objection to the petition as it's submitted.
Okay. Any comments from the board?
Is there a fence around your property?
There is a fence at the back of their property, just a chain link fence, but there's nothing on the sides.
Okay. I think it looks nice.
Thank you.
There are other garage apartments. Yeah. I can think of 2. And they suit the other house, but this is a new house, and I think it's fine with the scale and everything is good. I think this looks nice, and we'll be fine with your house. Any other discussion from the board? Well, I'll make my own motion.
Madam Chair, move to approve.
Okay, no, I'm sorry. I'll second your motion then. All right.
Cedric,
All
was
in
that you?
favor?
Yes, you can't second.
Opposed? All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Danny Reese, Old Cloverdale, 2416 West Cloverdale Park. Is this the Methodist Church?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And we do have, if anybody wants to look at them, we do have full-size plans here.
We apologize for the technical difficulties that don't allow those plans to be shown but on screen, but as you just said, I understand y'all have those with you. I'm Danny Reese. I chair the Board of Trustees for First United Methodist Church, and that's about the limit of my expertise in regards to landscaping. So I have with me William Johnson from our landscape company, Johnson Landscape, who we have hired to help coach us through this. Also with us tonight, Paul McClendon, Speaks Engineering, who handled our site engineering, that sort of thing. I think, and Randy Blake is also here, who works with our grounds committee at our church, sort of thing. I think it's important to mention that Mr. Stringer has been very helpful to us to this point with just consulting and some ideas and stuff, so we appreciate that very much at this point. And also, it should be mentioned that Mr. Hesse, also with the Old Cloverdale Association, has been very helpful, walking hand in hand with us, and some of the ideas and stuff that they've expressed have really helped guide us. Obviously, they're free to speak for themselves at some point, but at this point, if it is okay with you, I'd like to just sort of turn the floor over to Mr. Johnson, and he can answer any technical questions a lot more intelligently than I probably could. So thank you for your time.
I can speak briefly to the project. The existing lot is a former old house. The driveway is broken concrete, gravel remains. Our initial plans we presented, we walked through with Russell, Mr. Stringer. We actually came down and exited onto Cloverdale Park. It was one of the comments was suggested to remove that exit to Cloverdale Park and move it up onto Cottage. And so that was actually a location of a former driveway. So we did that, and in doing that, we actually lost 6 spaces for this project. The existing parking lot was 49 spaces. We will lose 5 connecting to it, and then there's a total of 30 proposed. And so and after the initial comments, we met with the Cloverdale Association to review as well. I'll just say the large existing wall will remain the majority of all the large live oaks, and you can see the existing trees. The majority of the trees, or the few trees that will remain, there's some privet, there's a ginkgo, a smaller ginkgo, some black cherries.
Are there any comments from the audience on this project or questions?
Hi, my name is Wes Shaw, 723 Forum Place. I live in Cloverdale. And also I have a bachelor's and master's in historic archaeology with a focus on preservation. I'm asking you to, or I'm speaking in opposition to the church's position on 2 reasons. One, I believe the petition as submitted does not comply with the city's zoning code. And then second, the petition is not compatible with the character of the historic district. Speaking to the zoning code, unless the church meets an exception, I believe that zoning code in Appendix C, Article 6, Section 8 applies here, whether you consider this parking lot to be new or an expansion of existing lot. Stated plainly, a parking plan cannot contain more than 12 contiguous parking spots without a landscape island. The landscape island must contain trees and 2 shrubs per tree, 250 square feet of area per tree, and a minimum width of 8 feet. If there are 25 or more parking spots as proposed here, then, then it needs to contain an irrigation system as well. Church's petition does not contain landscape island, irrigation plans, or any other item required by the zoning code. Therefore, I ask it be denied under that reasoning. But also, in addition, Church's plan is not compatible with the characteristics of the historic district. Church is surrounded already on 3 sides by parking lots, 2 large ones and 1 small one that just has a couple rows in the back. More asphalt is the church's solution to a problem that it experiences for a couple of hours on Sundays. That leaves the residents of Cloverdale with 6 days and several hours of the 7th day staring at asphalt. The shrubs are no higher than hip high, so it's not like this is not something that's seen throughout that whole area. Cloverdale, as you know, has a canopy and greenery that you just don't see in other areas. And Cloverdale, as you know, is small and compact. Nearly every person in business in Cloverdale struggles with parking. You've heard that from several people before you today. And you're aware that if you eat lunch on Cloverdale Road during the week, of course. The church cannot continue to pave its way out of its overcrowding issue. Instead of building up to a massive mega church parking lot, it's time for the church to look to a more permanent solution, such as taking advantage of street parking, carpooling, shifting service times, satellite parking areas, or any other solution that churches with limited space take advantage of. And for those reasons, I'm asking that the church's petition also be denied. Thank you.
Robert Hesse, Old Cloverdale Association. The church did involve us with a lot of the planning, and we support the project. Right now, if you're at Old Cloverdale Park, you see the gravel lot. With the shrubs that will be added and the landscaping, you will not. The asphalt will not be seen. Plus, it will also relieve a lot of the parking issues on Cloverdale Park Road there in front of the church, where it bottlenecks. And this is also going to relieve the street parking issues, because sometimes the way people park to allow perhaps an elderly person or something out of the car, they're away from the curb just a little bit, and it bottlenecks the road to where sometimes it's almost impossible to pass. So this addresses that issue as well. As far as the zoning, I'm not aware of any of the zoning issues, so I can't speak to that. But the association does support the project.
Madam Chair, can I ask Mr. Stringer a question?
Yes.
Mr. Stringer, does this plan meet the city's landscape ordinance?
Yes, there won't be any issue there. Our ordinance takes into account a lot of existing material, and I did write these that part of the code myself. I don't see any issues with it.
Okay, thank you.
When you add these parking spaces, are you designating more handicap spaces for anybody as well, maybe in the older parking lot?
Handicap parking is not required for this lot.
There are handicap parking places.
Yeah, I was just wondering if you're doing any additional just because
Not this lot.
the church may require it or anything else like that.
Not anticipated at this point.
Okay.
Do y'all, no, I'm sorry that we're trying to look. Sorry, y'all. Well, as I went to a wedding at First Methodist Church on Saturday night, I took that opportunity to drive and walk over this area so that I could see and understand what you were doing. And you're essentially putting parking where that house was. Okay, and it connects to your older parking lot.
Correct. Currently, people park there occasionally. Occasionally, people still park there as it is.
I can tell that they did that. That was perfectly obvious. There. So this is where that sort of two-story drive-in house was. Yeah. This is Cloverdale Park, I think.
Yes.
Okay. And this is kind of gravelly, and people do park there without benefit of parking lot.
And actually, there's a driveway from Cloverdale, West Cloverdale, that's being removed.
Yeah, they passed it up that way first, yeah. Any further comments from the board? Thank you. Is there no further discussion on this project? Are we ready to make a motion?
Madam Chair, move to approve as submitted.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? All right, thank you very much.
Was that Katie or Hillary that seconded?
Ma'am?
Who made the second?
Hillary.
Thank you.
All right. Zach Rowland, 1103 Magnolia Curve, had the honor of bringing up the end of a long agenda today. Thank you.
What's that?
I said you have the honor of bringing up the rear end of a long agenda tonight.
Okay, I'm just making a request to change a front door out, put in a privacy fence, and change the back steps out where they have just a little bit of a landing. You may call it a deck, but it's really, the purpose is just to have a place to stand while you unlock the back door.
All right. You've come a long way on this project.
I'm sorry.
You've come a long way on this project.
Well, I'm working on it. It's a slow process.
Is there anyone from the audience to speak to this? You've had a lot of work tonight.
I know, but you notice there's no violations. So we're making some headway.
We are making some headway.
Wait till next month. Just telling you, you've been warned.
Robert Hesse, Old Cloverdale Association. We discussed this at our last meeting, and we do oppose the front door because he's moving from a colonial revival door to a craftsman type door. And then on the fence, we prefer a 6-foot fence rather than the 7-foot fence, and we do not oppose any of the other changes.
Thank you.
Let me mention to you, the front door that I'm replacing is a solid door, and the door that I'm proposing to put in is a door with 3 lights in it, similar to the doors in the back. And the purpose is to give natural light into the entryway and trying to keep in keeping with the architectural integrity. But it's strictly more as a safekeeping, if you will, for the tenants.
I guess I missed about the 7-foot privacy fence. Why do you want it, 6 feet is standard. Why 7? Why do you want 7 feet, Mr. Owen?
The fence at 7 feet, I really would like it taller, but I knew 7 feet was the maximum. You know, my neighbors, I'm not always sure what you get next door, so I'm just trying to give my tenants a little more privacy.
Well, I understand. I think 6 foot is standard, is it not, or did I miss that?
I don't know.
In a historic district, 6
I
foot
think
is
6
standard.
is.
Okay. Yeah, 6 foot is, in historic districts, is standard, not 7.
I was told.
Zoning
I
allows
mean,
7.
is there real, what's the 7-foot fence interfering with? I mean, there's 2 fourplexes or 3 fourplexes side by side. And so, you know, I'm 6'2", so what's the purpose of putting up a privacy fence if I see right over the top of it?
Well, Mr. Owen, I'm 6 feet, and I got a 6-foot privacy fence in my backyard, and I can see almost to the top of it myself. Again, 6 feet is, in historic districts, 6 feet is standard. I don't know why.
Well,
it's one of those things, if you ask, where did that come from? Don't know. It's probably the way it's always been is the reason why.
well, if that is the case, I would like to ask for a 7-foot fence, just because without it, I'm not sure it's worth the expense to put the 6-foot fence up under this situation.
Paula, does he have to go to the Board of Adjustment for 7 feet?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
7 foot is what is allowed per zoning.
Okay. I think that probably the 6-foot thing has to do with the scale of most of the neighborhood, where we've got a 1 or a 1.5 story house on a small lot. But your situation is different. You've got 3 2-story buildings right next to one another. So visually, the 7-foot fence is not going to be inappropriate. You know, it's not going to be something that just sort of jumps out at you. Why is that fence almost as tall as the house?
Yeah.
So I don't think the 7-foot fence in this case would be inappropriate, where between 2 cottages, it would look foolish.
Well, I understand, and I know we have approved taller fences, and
Yes.
particularly in areas where you have a graded yard where it gets sloped, and you want to keep a level portion of the fence to make it all look nice and level. But I think, Chairman, as Chair Lady pointed out, this is, you know, residences that are kind of built up and not close to the ground. Like I have a cottage house myself. Standing in the yard's not so bad. When I stand on my deck in the backyard, I can talk to my neighbors without problem, but I understand. Mr. Robert, question?
While the 6-foot fence is standard throughout the neighborhood, one of our concerns about that section being allowed to be 7 foot was if a fence is later added to it, it would then look off if it was 6 foot coming out to the street or around the parking area in the back, and it wouldn't match.
Well, if someone in the future wants to put up another piece of fence, you know where they need to go, you know, where they're going to have to come first, and if they want to have something different than what I think would be matched, they would better have a good reason.
I understand. I'm just voicing the
again, and I
association.
understand your concerns, Robert. I really do. But
No, I'm just voicing the concerns of the association, not my personal.
Well, I will say that someone, it got back to me that someone said I didn't know what I was doing because I did not make everybody line their fences up at the same height. And to this I will say that Historic Preservation is not the Neatness Commission, and that things were different heights at different times. So having things not all be the same height is not necessarily a bad thing.
Well, and sometimes living in Cloverdale, Idlewild, I'll have to explain to people they want to do something, and I say, I can't say, you might not be able to get by with that, and they point to something that was done prior to historic designation. I have to explain, before historic designation, you could paint your house Pepto purple, pink, wouldn't matter hardly, you couldn't do anything about it, but now, different story. So I understand the reasoning now. And I like the fence, it looks good.
Understanding and agreeing doesn't mean the same thing. I mean, I understand, but I don't agree with it. I still think it should be 6, but that's just my opinion.
Okay.
All right.
I don't know if we've had as many disagreements as we have tonight. It's kind of almost fun. Be honest,
I'm going to bring cookies next time. That's got to do something.
maybe that's it. We're all hungry or something.
The door that you've picked is, it's not exactly right, but it doesn't have a whole lot of period detail attached to it. It doesn't have a little shelf, doesn't have little brackets, and things that would make it definitely look like a craftsman door rather than a colonial revival door. I really don't have any problem. I think you did a pretty good job of selecting a door that gives some light into that space without it being, without it having a whole lot of style one way or the other. It's quiet. And I think if you just sort of paint it a dark color and put it up there, that it'll be quiet and no one will notice it. So in that respect, I think the door is okay, and certainly better than the one that had this light. Yes, he has a green door now. All right. Any other comments on this project?
I just had one question. Are you approving it as a fiberglass door also?
All right, I may have missed something.
I didn't notice that. We have approved some fiberglass doors before and also steel doors. They're not my favorite choice, but I think the fiberglass looks more like wood than the steel door looks like wood. The preference for putting a wooden door is it's the one thing in every project that everybody touches. You know, you might not touch, you know, the walls in the kitchen, everybody does it, but it's a public area and everybody touches the door. A steel door feels really cold in the hand. Fiberglass at least feels warm in the hand like wood does, so it's not as noticeable when you touch it as a steel door would be. So in that respect, I think you've made a good choice also, if you're not going to have a wood door there.
I appreciate that.
Have we approved fiberglass before?
Yeah.
Okay. Again, been here doing this a long time. Sometimes.
Well, and it was a situation where the door was on a porch too, which, you know, I figure if you've got a porch, you can put a wood door back and not have, the maintenance won't really be a problem because it's protected. And this door, that's probably not the original door even. It's probably had several doors because it takes a lot of weather. I imagine it's pretty beat up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it faces south too. So it's getting beat up all the time.
John, I still think it's okay for us not to be okay with fiberglass.
Okay. Yeah.
It's not my first choice, I'll say that. Yeah. It's not going to be upscale in that location. All right. Now that we've niggled this to death, may we have a motion on this project?
I move to approve as submitted.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? This does not constitute a board endorsement of fiberglass doors in all locations at all times.
I don't want to be understood.
Thank you.
Thank you. Minutes of the last meeting, carefully written and mailed out by Paula. Does anyone have any
Corrections?
additions or corrections?
Move to approve the minutes as written.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Yeah.